Mark my words, we will be funded. So catch you guys then. Later. We finally made it to the funded sim account. There you go, TD funded. And I actually like the short here, so let's go ahead and take that. So first trade here on the funded sim account. Finally, right? Like, it's taken us quite a bit of time to get here. We started this initial challenge like in November of last year, so kind of disappointed myself in how long it took us, but that doesn't matter, right? We finally got to our destination, so that's what's important here. And yeah, we're gonna try to hit our 5,000 profit goal. Not gonna try to rush it or anything, because now we don't have a cap on how much we can earn per day, which, oh my god, that was probably the biggest pain in the ass, was having to cap our winners. I didn't realize, like, I knew like how big of a part that was to our edge, but just seeing the effect of having to cap your winning days on your edge was eye-opener for me. Yeah, happy we finally made it to the funded, and we're doing the funded sim route, of course. It just doesn't make sense to go the other route. And this is the first trade here. Looks like we got pretty close to hitting the profit target there, but didn't quite hit it. Would be a little bit annoying if it does end up stopping us out after being that close, but sometimes that's how trading go, right? We could have moved stop to break even, but we would have got stopped at this point, so not sure if that would have been the right choice to make or not. We're definitely in a downtrend here, and they were setting up the account, otherwise we would have been able to trade most of this action, which would have been really, really nice. And I'm curious like how the withdrawing process works. They made me sign up with like this third-party platform or website. I'm sure if you guys have gone through this, you guys know what I'm talking about. I think it's called Rise Networks or something like that, which was pretty interesting. Didn't know that's how they would make the payments and stuff. Looks like we're probably gonna get stopped out here, which is kind of annoying considering how close we were. Yeah, we got stopped there, and it looks like we got $10 of slippage. No, $5. So a tick, and then with commissions we're down 69 just for it to come back down. So that's definitely a little bit annoying, if I do say so, but whatever. So definitely don't want to blow this account up, so I gotta be careful. Gotta be extremely selective with the trades I take, because obviously the first priority is maintaining the account. It took us such a long time to get here. I feel like now that we've done that, it would be easier to do it a second time. But obviously I'd prefer not to have to go through that again. It's just, I think the 10-day period is just such a long time to have to go through that. And let me just make sure you guys get like the best view here. Alright, this one's better here. Yeah, that's pretty frustrating right there, not gonna lie. I kind of wanted to extend my stop loss, but at the same time, I'd much rather remain disciplined than prevent this from happening, right? Because you never know. Could have ended up turning into a much bigger loss, and that's not how we want to start off the funded account. So yeah, and I guess I should explain a little bit how the onboarding process was. It was pretty fast. I thought it might take a couple business days to get set up with the funded sim account, but if you do end up going the funded sim account, which by the way, I guess for those of you guys that don't have much information about how the TradeDay prop firm works, I currently chose the 50k account to go with. I had to hit a profit target of 2,500 within 10 trading days, a minimum of 10 trading days. It's not like you have to do it within those 10 trading days, but that's the amount it took me. I actually hit the profit target like on day 7, I believe, and then I just had to keep trading because, you know, you're required to trade the full 10 days even if you hit the profit target before then. There's also a consistency rule where, and this is what I was talking about earlier about the profit cap, where you cannot essentially, if you cannot have your biggest green day cannot make up more than 30% of your total P&L. So if the profit target is 2,500 and that's what you're aiming for, your biggest green day cannot be bigger than 750. If it happens where you do end up hitting like an $800 day, for example, then they will move up your profit target to make it so that $800 is only 30%. You would have to make 2,600, so it would increase your profit target by like $160, $170, which isn't too much. So you gotta kind of weigh it out at the end. And there is a trailing max drawdown of $2,000. So let's say the account balance starts at 50K, right? But let's say you make 1K and the account is now sitting at 51K. Now the max you can lose is still 2K. So the max you can draw down to would be 49,000. This does end up stopping once you make over 2K, because the max it will trail is to your original balance of 50K. So if you're at 53K, it won't trail to 51K. It'll stay at 50K, and you'll have a 3K buffer basically. Yeah, this is really, really annoying here. I do still like the short. I think we can eventually hit low of day, but do I really want to give it 2 attempts here and then potentially get stopped out again? Maybe. But this time I would be extending take profit probably and then trail my stop loss. So let's see if we get filled here. And yeah, and so once you hit those objectives, 10 trading days, 2,500 profit goal, no single day bigger than 30%. Once you've hit all that without hitting the trailing max drawdown, or there's also rules like you cannot trade internet news events, which they're pretty rare, so it's not something you have to constantly be worrying about. But I did end up failing one of the evaluations because of that. So it is something to be aware of, but it's not like, these news events are like 2 times a month, maybe, if that. So it's not like an everyday thing, but it is, again, something that could potentially make you fail the challenge. But once you pass that, you get the option to choose the funded sim or the funded live. I chose the funded sim because it just makes more sense. If you are a new TradeDay member, you will have to pay an activation fee, I believe it's called, which is about 132 if it's somewhere around the 130 range that you have to pay that activation fee. And I didn't have to pay that because I've been a TradeDay member since last year, so it didn't apply to me, but there is a chance that applies to you. I don't like how that bounced up there, so gonna take the early X on this if I can. Okay, just didn't like how we entered there, like that big wick that was forming, didn't like that. Probably still will end up working out, but also you guys know how I trade. I trade very protective when I'm in a drawdown, which right now I'm red on the account since starting balance, so I'm gonna be a lot more protective than, let's say we were up 1,000 on the account. I'd be a lot more aggressive, right? I wouldn't have taken that early exit, but it wasn't ideal price action according to what I like to see, so that's why I took the early exit there. So yeah, you have those 2 options. I chose the funded sim. You're allowed to make up to $5,000 where you keep 100% of that money. So if we were in the green right now, right, I'd keep 100% of that. I believe there's no withdrawing restrictions. There may be a minimum that you have to make before you can withdraw. Don't quote me on this, but I believe it's $500 that you have to make, but I'm not sure. That may be completely false. I'll try to verify that before I post this video, obviously, so don't quote me on that. But other than that, there's no, as far as I know, there's no major restrictions. And again, I'm going through this process, so once I do actually get that withdrawal, I'll give you guys more information as I go. That was the whole point of this journey in the first place, to give you guys that more that inside look on how this funded journey works. And if you do decide to go straight to the funded live, they did say it will take like up to 5 business days to set up your account, which makes sense because they're actually putting live money into the account. Yeah, it's a longer process. And then I'm not sure. I think I would assume the first 5,000 is still 100% yours, but I may be wrong on that one. Then the profit split is 90 to 10%, I believe. Again, don't quote me on this. I honestly should have brushed up on my TradeDay facts before starting recording, but I honestly don't know these facts because that's my bad. I should have done better research, right? To start this evaluation, I believe you have to pay a 132 monthly fee, and I do believe that's with a discount, 20% discount. So the actual full price is a little bit higher than that. And then if you fail the evaluation, to reset it, it's a $99 fee. If you fail the evaluation and then you just wait for your subscription to renew, you will get that free reset. But the resets don't store. Like, so if your monthly subscription renews and you hadn't failed the evaluation, you won't get that free reset, if that makes sense. You'll only get that free reset if your challenge you failed the challenge before your monthly subscription renewed. Let's see, any other important things to talk about. I guess not, because I think most of the information you can get on the website, and I don't even know if the information I'm giving is completely correct as far as the ones I said I was iffy about. Not talking about like my actual experience with how my opinions on funded accounts changed after actually getting funded, and obviously I haven't actually gotten a withdrawal yet, so maybe my opinion changes once I actually start trading this funded account. But prior to trying out funded accounts, my opinion was that I would prefer going the self-fund account, like self-fund route, non-prop firm route. Do I think there's benefit to going the prop firm route? Yes, but there's just, I think you can't even really argue that going the funded route is less of a monetary investment, because if you're in that stage where you're still not able to self-fund, that probably means you're in the beginner stages of trading, just because you don't have that experience trading real money, big size. And so you cannot really make substantial amounts of money unless you get lucky, which does happen. And so you're probably not that great of a trader yet, even if you've had good experience in the simulations, right? That doesn't always translate to real money, or in this case, prop firm money, which is still real money, but not completely your money at risk, if that makes sense. So the only really real benefit is that, yeah, you're paying only 132 to get access to potentially get funded, right? That's a pretty big investment, because the likelihood of you passing it on first go is pretty low. Like, I was pretty confident I'd be able to pass it in one or two goes, and I didn't do it. And maybe I'm just not that great of a trader, but they definitely make it difficult for you. First of all, the fact that you have to trade a total of 10 trading days, and I know there's certain prop firms that don't require that, and so maybe if I chose a different prop firm, my opinion would change completely. So this only applies to TradeDay specifically, because that's the only prop firm experience I have so far. But it's 10 trading days is a lot. Like, a lot can happen in those 10 trading days, and definitely the biggest thing that sucks is not even the trailing max drawdown. The trailing max drawdown can be annoying, but it's not the end all be all. At the end of the day, if you have good risk management, you can handle it, right? And still comfortably hit the profit goal. The big issue I have is the consistency rule. That really, it was probably the biggest hindrance to why it took me so many attempts to finally pass this evaluation. Just because the way I personally trade, when I'm doing really good, I love to push it. Like, that's where most of my edge comes from, because if I wasn't allowed to hit those big winners, at the end of the day, I would probably be a break-even trader. So the only reason I really make profits in the long run is because I occasionally hit really big green days, and then my regular green days will just cover the red days, and then those green days will be where I make my money. Yeah, definitely a mistake to sell that one early there. Nice to see we're getting fresh flows though. This was my original idea with this trade, but we just barely got stopped out there, which is why I typically like to get in on the bounce. Technically this was the bounce, and then we started. So technically with this entry, your stop loss should have been up here, but because we have such limited risk, and that's the next point where I'm gonna make. I think everybody knows this, but when you're getting funded a 50k account, quote unquote, you're really only getting funded 2k. So at the end of the day, 2k isn't that much money. Like, and not to be insensitive, like not to be out of touch with, how much the value of money. Sometimes as traders that can definitely happen, but especially in the trading world, $2,000 is really not that much, especially when we're trading minis here. Like, we're allowed to trade up to 5 NQ on a $2,000 account. That's pretty ridiculous if you think about it. So yeah, no, $2,000 isn't really that much. So they're really stacking the odds against you when they set a 2,000 trailing max drawdown and they let you trade up to 5 NQ contracts. Like, how easy is it to blow that up? Fucking, it's yeah. So it's kind of ridiculous that they give you that much, that they allow you to trade 5 contracts on a fucking 2k account. Right? Some people would even argue you shouldn't even be touching 1 NQ on a 2k account, but whatever. I think the point of prop firms is to be a little bit riskier there, right? Because you're only risking 132 of your actual capital. But like I said, I think if you're a good trader, it will take you anywhere from 1 to 5 attempts. If you're a beginner trader, probably will take you 5 to 10 attempts. And if you're just not a profitable trader, it will take you 10 plus attempts. So if we're saying on average it'll take somebody like 5 attempts, let's say, which is somewhere around where it took me, someone who's been trading for about 5 years now, so that's kind of embarrassing, honestly. But you probably have around the same odds as that. So 5 attempts times 130, or let's say 100 if you buy the resets, that's $500-ish to get an extra 1,500 of capital. Is that really worth it? I don't know. You also had to sacrifice those 10 trading days to get there, and if you failed the account, that means it probably took you more than those 10 days. So 2 months, 3 months, for me it's like, since I've been trying this since November, but I did take a couple breaks here, so let's say 3 months to get 1,500 of capital. Does that make a lot of sense? Not really. Again, if you can pass these evaluations like nothing, then it probably makes a lot of sense to go the prop firm route. And again, this is only speaking about TradeDay. There's probably other prop firms that are a little bit better on the not requiring 10 days. I know Apex was having these insane, like, pass in 1 day 90% off sales. I probably should have gone that route, but I was influenced by certain people to go the TradeDay route, which I don't regret. Just putting that out there. I'm happy I chose TradeDay. That's the firm I ended up going with. It's obviously my responsibility to do my full research and choose the best option for me. At the end of the day, this is just an experiment for YouTube. I not relying on this challenge for income or anything like that. This is not my main trading account, so it's it was okay with me. It was okay. I was okay with it taking 3 months to pass, right? Because it wasn't my main priority. But yeah. So 3 months. Let's say it takes you 2 months, and like $500 to get 1,500 in funding, and then eventually you're gonna have to split some of those profits. Is that really worth it? I don't know. I cannot recommend that it is worth it. The only way I see it being worth it is that if you're able to pass it on first attempt and you get funded as soon as possible. If you can go that route, maybe it's worth it. Otherwise, I would stick with trading sim account until you're super confident in your abilities to have an edge, and then you just move to real money but small size, so you can start building up that emotional resilience to like, you know, whatever the market throws at you. So that's the route I would probably recommend. That's the route I originally went when I originally started 4 or 5 years ago. I actually completely skipped the simulation, the sim trading, right? I went straight to real money, but I was dealing with super small amounts on a Robinhood account. I was trading penny stocks, and then I moved to options, and that's where I hit my first initial streaks of profitability. But and I would say I was in a right place at the right time for sure in those early stages. So I wouldn't recommend people to go straight to real money. I would probably recommend them to go at least a couple months simulation, and then move to their own capital, small size though. The like literally the smallest size you can do, like 1 MNQ, 1 MES, and then slowly build that up. As someone who's grown plenty of small accounts before, again, when I initially started that Robinhood account 4 years ago, I started with $100 and I grew that to over PDT. And then I did the $150 challenge on my other YouTube channel called Nets Trades. You guys can go see that. I did that with futures because previously I'd only grown small accounts with options. So I wanted to see if it was possible with futures, and it was. You guys can go see that, how that series ended. So as somebody who's experienced trading small capitals like $500, $1,000, $2,000, it's definitely possible to grow it on your own. You don't require the prop firm route, but again, I have very limited prop firm route. I'm just giving you guys my opinion so far as somebody who's trying it out. But yeah, and that's how. And my opinions haven't really changed too much now that I've passed the evaluation. It's actually gotten worse, my opinion on prop firms, because I came into this expecting to pass within 1 or 2 attempts. So I thought maybe it's worth it because you're only spending what, like $200, $300 max. And now since they added the activation fee, it's actually more than that. And let's say once you actually get funded, you're not guaranteed a withdrawal. Like I think I saw the stats once. Again, do not quote me on this, but majority of people don't actually, like, once they get funded, they don't actually ever get a withdrawal. So then they have to go ahead and restart. What if that takes them another 5? Oh my god, it just wouldn't make sense. You're just paying the prop firm to potentially get funded, and then once you get funded, you never even end up getting a withdrawal. So yeah, I'd say go with your own money. At the end of the day, if you're a beginner trader, trading shouldn't be, I mean, it's literally impossible to be relying on it for income. So you should be having a stable, good income outside of trading, and then I'm sure within half a year you can build up about 2K trading capital, and that would be basically you getting funded, right? And now it's completely your capital, and you don't have to take no 90-10% split on it. There's no rules against withdrawing or anything like that. It's just your money, and I think it's more rewarding to be trading your own money as well. So that's just my opinions, and now you're probably thinking, okay, why the fuck are you doing this then? Again, I just wanted to experience it. I wanted to be able to give that opinion and actually have gone through it, and I haven't actually yet gotten a withdrawal yet. So once I do, I think that's when I'll finally solidify my opinion and be able to share that, because I'll be confident in, you know, my opinion actually meaning something because I went through it, and not just because it's an opinion I had, right? At the end of the day, it is still my opinion, even if I have experience here or there. But it's up to you guys to listen to that or not, right? I'm just being open about my experience, and that's what YouTube is, right? It's YouTube, it's my tube. You guys are watching my tube, and I'm just choosing to share my experience with the prop firm route. And I wouldn't say it's completely negative. Like, I'm not trying to shit on prop firms, of course not. I think there's a place for them. Again, I think if you're confident you can pass the evaluation like in 1 or 2 attempts, then it probably makes sense. You can get that $5,000 payout. 100% of it goes to you. So that's pretty smart, and that's what I'm trying to do here. So hopefully very soon, within the next couple months, we'll get that 5K withdrawal, and maybe by then my opinion will have changed. But those are so far my thoughts, and market's pretty chill right now, so probably not gonna take too many trades right now. just want to take those 2 initial ones and take you guys on the ride. So episode's not ending here. I want to get at least 1 full trading day, so, and I do want to end it green. So yeah, and then once we end, hopefully if we end today green, I'll see if the dashboard updates and see if we can request a payout. If we make like $300 today, and they allow me to like withdraw $50, I'll do it just to like see how the process works, see how long it takes to process to get to my account, and see if there's like minimums or anything like that. And then I'll obviously report all that back to you guys and show you guys how it went. But anyways, catch you guys in the next clip. Basically, not gonna prolong this for no reason. So see you guys in the next clip. Okay, actually kind of like the long here. Got fresh lows there. Look how it instantly is kind of reversing here. If we get a nice dip there and get we get an entry, right? Wouldn't mind that, but obviously needed to pull back about 2 points now, hitting basically our profit target. So might not get a chance to get in, but do like this type of pattern here where we get fresh lows, you see instant buy and step in into those lows. That's a good sign, potential for a decent reversal, and there you go. So now I'm gonna go ahead and cancel that order. So we just weren't quick enough. Not gonna blame it on me having to take a couple seconds to start up the recording software, but you know, sometimes you miss those trades. Should have been smart to mark it in, probably, but again, it's about being protective, right? What's important to us right now, getting out of this drawdown, however small it may be. Once we're in the green, I'll feel a lot more comfortable potentially marketing in that situation, but it's okay. Missed trades, getting stopped out like that, it's gonna happen. It's part of trading, and that's part of where, in an ideal world, we didn't get stopped out here. In an ideal world, we get that entry, but trading's not always gonna be ideal, right? And that's something you gotta face. And what's the word? It's like take into account. That's something you have to take into account. You know, because you can do all these, like in theory, what's your average winner, what's your average loser, what's your win rate, what's your expected return over X amount of trades. But there's going to be factors like this which kind of change that, because again, it's a setup I normally would trade, and maybe if I was looking at hindsight, I'd say, yeah, I would make an entry there. But then once you're actually live trading, that's a little bit different there. And you know, that's just something you got to take into account for, and realize you won't have perfect executions. Even if your strategy or edge says I should have entered there, doesn't mean I'm always going to get that entry, whether because, like in this case, I was a couple seconds late, or I just wasn't at my desk at the time that it happened, or you know, whatever reason why. There could be reasons why I miss a trade that I should have taken on paper, right? But yeah, on to the next trade. Just wanted to show you guys that, I guess. I'm not sure if I'll leave this in, but probably I'll leave it in, just so you guys can see the reality of trading. It's that, right? We're gonna miss trades, and maybe that's the advantage the algos have on us. But then we also have the discretion, because certain times we won't want to take a trade, even though on paper it looks good. Sort of like how I ended up exiting here early, because I felt the price action wasn't ideal, even though if I would have just let the trade work out, it would have worked out. But you know, it's a fine line between having too much of a discretion, like allowing yourself too much discretion, and then not allowing enough discretion. Which one do you want? You gotta find that balance for yourself. What works best for you? What statistically is the best option for you? And I'm rambling again, so catch you guys in the next clip. learning to be a little bit faster with the hit record button, but it looks like we're probably gonna miss this trade as well. Damn. Okay. So similar setup, fresh lows, no major continuation, like how this candle kind of wicked here, and then the following candle was also extremely bullish. So if this candle gave us any sort of pullback, that's when I would decide to enter. But it looks like we're kind of leaving me in the dust here behind. Looks like we can potentially bounce here. Wouldn't mind taking an entry there. Stop very close to low day. So if we crack low day, obviously wouldn't want to stay in. But do think we can potentially bounce 4, 5, 6 points here. Looks like we got stopped there, made fresh lows. Kind of dumb to be going counter trend here, especially when the trend is this strong. Obviously kind of frustrating. Obviously our shorts from earlier are would have been looking really good now. We're finally getting that bounce, so let me retry this one more time. See if we can get a fill. Okay, tapped is in right there. So ideally it taps us in and starts bouncing right away. Just like that. Alright, cool. I'm gonna give it some room. Once we get to like 80-ish, I'll move this to about break even. So let's see, you ready for that? I can actually gonna move it a little bit closer there, because we should be able to kind of push a little bit more towards the 80 range. Alright, cool. Oh, didn't let me extend that. So let's move this to there. I was gonna move it again, but we got tapped out there. But that wipes out the 2 L's we had. Alright, here we go. Obviously in hindsight, this ended up getting wigged. We would have got stopped out, so this would have been obviously glad it got out in hindsight, but if we didn't get out, we probably would have got stopped out, and then just to see it rip without us, oh my god, that would have been so frustrating. But that's kind of the move I was looking for when I was looking to extend profit or target. But not like we would have got that if we had moved, which we did. We had moved stop loss like here, so we would have got stopped out. And then just for it to turn around, that's the tricky part about moving stop loss, and that's why ideally stop loss, you wouldn't have your stop loss until low day, and you wouldn't move it when you're up a couple points, right? Because it's all about the target you're going for. If you're going for a target like this, you have to let price fluctuate. That's the thing, right? Like, you have to let price fluctuate. Just because price fluctuated from here to here doesn't mean it's turning bearish. And so moving your stop loss there, the reason why I'm able to justify doing so is not because on a chart, and because the chart is telling me to exit. It's more so how I like to play protective when I'm in the red. I wouldn't have wanted to take and been 3 trades red on the day, because then I would have been down like what, close to $200, and that's 10% of our max drawdown, and that's not something I want to do. That's just certain stuff you have to do, in my opinion, because also psychologically, if the trade was, I was up $100 on the trade and then I go red $60 on the trade, that would have made me pretty frustrated, just because of the small amounts of money we're dealing with here. Again, if this was a larger account and I had a buffer, I'm okay with not locking in $100 gain, because I'm going for that $300, $400, $1,000 winner. But that's just not the reality of this account yet. Maybe once we build up enough cushion, then we can actually be trading for those larger moves. But right now, because we have such limited drawdown, we're confined to trading kind of with not wheelchairs, with what's it called when bikes have training wheels. We're confined to trading with training wheels, which in this case is like, you know, having really tight stop losses, being protective of unrealized profits, even though maybe it wasn't the smartest choice to make. But I'd rather lock in that win and miss out on this than potentially have been down on the day $200, right? Because what risk did you have to take in order to catch these extra 10 points now, right? You had to risk seeing 120 PNL go down to 0 for you to gain another another $200. Was that worth it? Maybe, maybe not. In my case, because I was red on the day already, it wasn't worth it. If I had been green $200 on the day, $100 now isn't that significant, and I might have been okay with letting a trade go up 120 to back to break even to up $200, $300. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. And at least for me, that's important. Maybe for you, the emotional impact of being down $200 in a day wouldn't have made you be like, whoa, that's 10% of the drawdown, I gotta be careful here. Maybe you would have been like, let's just keep trading as we should, right? As, you know, just emotionless, which maybe that's just the type of trader you are, and maybe you're able to do that, and that's the route you're going to choose to go. That's why everybody's strategy is adapted to themselves, to what best suits them. And that's why maybe my strategy doesn't suit you, because you don't have the same personality as me. You don't have the same feelings. You don't experience the same experience in the same way as I do. Right, so, but yeah, nice to be green on the day, and gonna be patient now for our next trade, and hopefully we can start stacking up those wins and then building up on this green day, because obviously nice to be green $21, especially now that we can actually, that's actually real $21 now, we can withdraw that, but, or I don't know if we can or not, but we're obviously aiming for a lot higher than that, so yeah, we wait. Alright, that's a little bit annoying if we don't get filled on this contract. There we go. So we got in there. I kind of like the short. It looks like we're kind of starting to struggle here. We're seeing more bigger red candles appear. We had the first one here, second one here, third one here. So it could potentially start pivoting. Nice push down there. Probably will extend profit here, because I do think we can break the low of this candle, and then we should get some continuation to like this area right here. So that's probably what I'm going to be looking for. But obviously once we hit like 80 PNL, I'll make this trade risk-free by moving stop to about break even, which I'm actually going to go ahead and do now. So it's either this turned into a little bit of a bigger winner, or we get stopped out for break even. Just needed to flush a couple more ticks here. There we go. Alright, nice. That was a 95 winner there. Pretty happy about that trade. So now we're up about $100 on the funded account. Not bad.